Okay, so this will be number 2 of the infant feeding, and we're gonna just take up with where we stopped. And astonishing news. Look at these statistics. It's crazy. If 90% of U.S. families could comply with medical recommendations to breastfeed exclusively for only 6 months, the United States would save $13 billion per year. I mean, that's just crazy. Prevent over 900 deaths if 90% of mothers exclusively breastfed for 6 months, and that's also from the AAP. Nearly all of which would be infants. All of those deaths is what they're talking about. At 80% compliance, 10.5 billion would be saved with 741 fewer deaths. According to AWON, which is again the Association of Women's Health Obstetricians and Neonatal Nurses. I know before I said neonatologists. No, this is the one I belong to. The 2 N's are for neonatal nurses. According to the press release from the United Nations Children's Fund, UNICEF, in 2004, exclusive breastfeeding for the first 6 months could save 1.3 million lives each year, particularly in underdeveloped countries. So now, again, that was a quote by AWON, but it was from the World Health Organization, and they study whole populations. So there you have it. I mean, we would save 1.3 million lives. I don't even know what to say about that. Okay, let's talk about the baby-friendly designation. What is that? And I think most of the hospitals we're in fact, I know St. Jude, St. Joe's, and UCI are what they call baby-friendly. And that is a certification that's given to birth facilities, but they have to apply for it. And it's a huge certification. You have to do all of these steps. Otherwise, you do not get the certification. It's this baby-friendly certification is backed by UNICEF, the United Nations Children's Fund, World Health Organization, and it is strictly to promote breastfeeding. That's what baby-friendly means. Guidelines, we're going to educate the staff and parents about breastfeeding. Early initiation of breastfeeding in that golden hour during first hour of birth. Feeding on demand. We're going to be giving that baby to the breast. That's what we're going to feed him only. Avoidance of pacifiers and formula. And this came about because there was a lot of, sneaking a pacifier or not, whether the hospitals will have it or not. And now they're saying if they have the pacifiers, they need to be locked up in the NICU, because in NICU, we use them to teach the babies how to suck. And because they're born so early, they may not know how to do that. But, and this is what they said in 16. Although the mechanism is not known, the reduced risk of SIDS associated with pacifier use during sleep is compelling. So that's why they used to say, no, not at all. And now they're saying, yes, but look how they've quantified it. The evidence that pacifier use interferes with breastfeeding or causes later dental complication is not as compelling, but it's not to be introduced until 1 month of age. And I would tell you, if I were you, I would not introduce it for 2 months. I would wait for at least 8 weeks. Sometimes breastfeeding doesn't get good for 6 weeks because now mom is healing, she's doing better, the baby's made the connection. Sometimes if you introduce it earlier than that, you're going to have a problem because they've looked at statistics, and babies that have a pacifier are the much lower percent still breastfeeding at 6 months of age. And think about it just for a second. Well, why? It's because when that baby's crying, people are sticking a plug in their mouth. Guess what? Mom's breast needs to be the plug. Because we don't know. We don't know if they're crying just because they're tired, or are they crying because they're hungry. And then we just stick a pacifier in their mouth. I hate pacifiers personally, if you can't tell. But I just think they interfere with the whole process. And I think if the baby's crying, we need to figure out why and try to fix it as opposed to sticking a plug in their mouth. And then couplet care for rooming in. They want the baby with the mom, not anywhere else with the mother, unless there's a problem with the baby or the mom. And these are more steps, as you can read through them. Have a written breastfeeding policy that all the staff that work in that area are educated on. Inform all pregnant women about the benefits and management of breastfeeding. Again, education. That's what this is all about. Help mothers initiate breastfeeding within 1 hour of birth unless there's a problem with the baby or the mom. And show moms how to breastfeed, how to maintain that lactation, even if they're separated from their infants. Here's some more steps. Give newborn infants no food or drink other than breast milk. Strictly, strictly, strictly breast milk. Practice rooming in, and all that means is the moms and the dads have to be with the baby in the same room continually. Encourage breastfeeding on demand. Give no pacifiers or artificial nipples to breastfeeding infants. And that is written in baby friendly. So again, the AAP has come forward and said it's associated with kids, having a pacifier because probably they still have the sense to breathe. If you can suck, you can breathe. And that's what SIS is all about. But I would not introduce it until 2 months of age. And then foster the establishment of breastfeeding support groups. And they've been really good about this with all of these baby-friendly hospitals. They have clinics where the moms can bring the kid in the next day. They can bring them in 2 days or 3 days, and they weigh them on the same scale every time. They give them all kinds of coaching tips. So it's just, the whole thing is just great. Okay, so recommended breastfeeding practices is to facilitate breastfeeding, again, within the first hour, the golden hour. Encourage it on demand. Encourage breastfeeding on each breast every time. Every time. We've got 2 avenues here, 2 breasts. If they start on the right at 10 a.m., at noon, have them start on the left. And they can put a safety pin in their nursing bra if they can't remember to move it, and that way they can remember, okay, I did right last time, I'm going to put the safety pin on the left side, and next time I'll do it on the left. And you're like, well, that seems kind of silly. You know what? They're doing this every 2 hours. So they're doing it at least 12, it might be 13, 14, depending on how irritable the newborn is, a day. They can't remember. So that's a good way to teach them that. Discourage supplements, we've already talked about that, and pacifier, we've talked about that too. Management of breast engorgement. Engorgement means the breasts are just so full. They're engorged, they're enlarged, and they're very, very tender. Again, put the baby to breast. A lot of times they don't want anybody to touch them. The best thing they can do for that engorgement is to have that kid get the milk out. Warm compresses, not ever ice. Ice is going to constrict everything. You want it warm to let all the milk out. And remember, warmth dilates. The breast massage, where they'll actually be pushing down on the breast, pushing down and out, so the milk will come out of the ducts. Manual expression of milk, where they'll take the areola in their hand, like in a C, all around the areola, and just squeeze and try to get the milk out that way if the baby can't or if they're too sleepy. And then again, warm showers, same thing between the breastfeeding, the warmth. Just let that warm water flow on the breast. It will help. Proper positionings for breastfeeding there's several. We've got the one over here on the left is lying down, the side lying. They don't usually want people to do that right away. It's better to have the easiest one is the cross cradle, which is what the woman that we can see on the right is doing, where on the crink of your elbow, if it's your left elbow, it's your left breast. If it's your right elbow, it's your right breast. The cross cradle is opposite, where you have your right hand is holding the head under the left breast. That's why it's a cross. They say that's a cross cradle. And same thing with, it would be your left hand under their head and the right breast. And then the football hold is just like a football, like you're playing football. And those are usually for women with very pendulous, huge breasts. Let's see. I think I have a YouTube video here for you about the breastfeeding positions.
When it comes to breastfeeding, it's important to find a position that works best for you and your baby. This can sometimes take a bit of experimenting. Here are some common positions. The most common breastfeeding positions are the cradle and cross-cradle holds. For all breastfeeding positions, bring your baby in close, chest to chest. Avoid contact with your baby's head, as he needs it to be free to be able to attach well. For the cradle hold, sit somewhere comfortable, such as in a chair with pillows behind you for support. Bring your baby across the front of your body. Hold your baby along your forearm, left arm for left breast, right arm for right. Your baby's head rests in the crook of your arm. For the cross-cradle hold, sit somewhere comfortable, such as in a chair with pillows behind you for support. Bring your baby across the front of your body. Hold your baby in close along your forearm. Left arm for right breast, right arm for left. Support your baby's neck and shoulder blades with your hand and wrist. For the underarm or football hold, hold your baby at your side under your arm with your elbow bent. Support your baby's back along your forearm and support his neck and shoulder blades with your hand and wrist. It can help to rest your baby's body on the arm of a chair or with a pillow. This breastfeeding position is popular with mums of twins and mums who have had a caesarean, since it holds the baby's body well away from her caesarean wound. You can also lie down on your side to breastfeed. A lying position might be a good choice for when you feel like resting. Lie down on your side and bring your baby in close with him facing towards your lowermost breast, supporting him with one hand behind his neck and shoulder blades. In the semi-reclined or laid-back position, your baby can be placed on your chest facing you, and pillows can be placed behind you for support. A semi-reclined position can help if you have a fast flow. It is also a great position for when you let your baby find your breasts using his instincts, as it lets gravity help your baby move towards a breast. For more help on how to do this, please see our baby-led attachment video. Whether you use some sort of pillow or not is really up to what works for you and your baby. Mothers who are breastfeeding twins often find a pillow helpful. If using a pillow, take care not to raise your baby higher or lower than the natural fall of your breasts. If you'd like some help with breastfeeding, breastfeeding techniques, or breastfeeding attachment, support services are available. Your child and family health nurse, GP, or the Australian Breastfeeding Association can support you with breastfeeding your baby. They can also help you find a lactation consultant. This is a health professional with specialist knowledge of breastfeeding.
Uh-oh. Sorry. Okay. Wasn't that great? I looked at many, and that was the simplest that show you the different positions. So, you know what, girls? Hang on to that. You may need it. You never know. Okay, it's not going. Actually, I think we're done with this one anyway. Okay, hang on, and we will be doing another one. We'll stop for this one now.